Hello, hello, hello. Happy July. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that we are halfway through a year that for me still feels brand new. I want to welcome all of you and thank you for joining us. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm Torin Darling Brazel, founder of Ignite. This is an organization that I started back in 2019 to simply be the change I so desperately needed to see in my community. And today is especially meaningful because we're not just celebrating the beginning of a new month or, 6 months into a new year. For Ignite, we're actually celebrating the close of an incredible 7-year journey. And we're closing that chapter and beginning Ignite's new one. Because over the past 7 years, Ignite has made tremendous accomplishments. Like we have engaged over 2,000 businesses here in the state of Alabama. We have provided direct support to 1,500 of them, helping a portion of those secure over 100 contracts and gain access to over $5 million in capital. And y'all, that is such a proud accomplishment for me because when we started, the number one complaint was we can't get access to capital. The number two complaint was nobody wants to help us. Everybody is just wasting our time. And we were able to not only dispel those various, now what we realize were myths, right? But to really demystify what it means to run a successful business, nonprofit, or just to be an entrepreneur if you're still working and doing it as a side hustle. But we didn't do this alone. We have over 100 partner agencies that have supported us in providing business support, to include PwC. And if you didn't know about PwC, because I didn't 7 years ago, that's PricewaterhouseCoopers. Literally, an organization, an accounting firm that on the Fortune 500, over 420 of those businesses, their clients are PwC clients. And these individuals, like this firm, stepped in to help local small businesses. I can't say enough how amazing that was. But we also had financial support because even though our services have been free to the public, it really cost a lot to do what we've done. So I have to take a moment to say thank you, acknowledge and say thank you to major partners that invested in us, from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation to Alabama Power, Amazon Global Procurement Organization, J.P. Morgan Chase, Microsoft, Protective Life Foundation, Regions Bank, Renaissance Bank, the Southern Poverty Law Center, Wells Fargo, and so many more. And y'all, and this is important because I want you to know that 7 years ago, I didn't know anyone in this business support and ecosystem developing space, and they didn't know me. And so I am proof of the things that we're going to be sharing with you today, meaning it's going to start with taking action. That if you just start doing the things that you really believe you're supposed to be doing, everything that you need, from money to strategic partnerships and relationships, are going to be in that path of the way that you're feeling you need to go. So we're extremely grateful. But today isn't just about acknowledging and celebrating those wins. It's also about sharing what we've learned. For any of you guys that know me, when you receive emails, you'll notice that in my signature, I always say winning with purpose and determination. And I close it with my favorite quote from Nelson Mandela, where he once said, I never lose, I either win or I learn. So, with some of the greatest lessons that we've learned, is really acknowledging that as CEOs, whether you're working for a for profit or a nonprofit, executive directors, community leaders, guys, we are people first. And it's so important that we take care of ourselves, not just physically and emotionally and relationally, but also financially. And I just want to share, like right now, I'm in the middle of a health challenge. 2 weeks ago, I had out of nowhere a bank injury that literally significantly impacted my mobility. It has been very hard for me to walk. But by God's grace, I'm doing so much better. But it was a real wake up call. It reminded me that while Ignite has accomplished so much, it has come at a tremendous cost. Our team has carried more than any human was ever designed to carry over these last 7 years. But and Neff, I'm talking a lot and I'm going to introduce you in a second.
No, listen. You said this was informal.
Yeah.
I only prepared 2 slides. Of course, I have some other things in the slide deck, but 2 slides,
Yeah.
you have our full attention. Go ahead.
I appreciate that because, I came into this, bright eyed and bushy tailed 7 years ago, really ready to change the world. And any of you guys that have been impacted by Ignite, we've done our best and we've made a lot of great progress. But today, what I realized is that I was trying to fix something, the system that's not broke. What I've learned is that it's working exactly the way it was designed to work. And there are a lot of things that are in place that continue to perpetuate the harm and the ill that cause so many of us that are on the front lines in our communities great stress. And y'all, stress is real. And left unchecked, it can affect our minds, our bodies, our relationships, our decision making, and our ability to lead. And for many of us, the warning signs don't come all at once. My chiropractor said, I was trying to find out what brought this on. I just went Monday. And she said, well, I did a lot of traveling in the last couple of weeks. And she said, well, that could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But what you're experiencing has been happening for a while. So talking about something going unchecked. And so I want you to take a moment, if you're listening to me, and to pause and to be honest with yourself. Are you feeling burnt out? Are you dealing with anxiety? Are you experiencing sleepless nights? Are you challenged with chronic pain? If you said yes to any of those, or if you have multiple like I do, y'all, these are results. The underlying currents of a lot of that is stress. And eventually our bodies begin telling us what we've been ignoring. Like when 2 weeks ago, I went to get up out of the chair and I couldn't. And so this experience has reminded me of something that I'll never forget. And I want you to remember this. Healthy organizations require healthy leaders. If we're going to continue serving others, and we have to, y'all, our local communities really do need us. But in order for us to do that, we have to care for ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And so I'm here today because I know I'm not the only one who needs a reset. There may be some of you that are listening that are nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, executive directors, small business owners, corporate leaders, ecosystem builders, and other social impact leaders who've spent years pouring into everyone else while neglecting yourself. So, here at Ignite, our mission has always been to strengthen companies, build infrastructure, and expand wealth. But today, we're extending that mission by intentionally investing in the people behind the mission because we believe that healthy leaders build healthy organizations, and healthy organizations build stronger communities. And for the past 7 years, we've been helping organizations grow, but this season is about you. So I'm grateful that this month I have several incredible experts that have agreed to come every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that'll be 3 p.m. for those of you guys that are on the West Coast. Throughout this month, they are coming and they're going to be having conversations to help you strengthen your financial foundation through business credit, estate planning, insurance, investing, and business growth. But again, I'm not doing this alone. So Nefertari Strickland is a dear friend of mine, and she's here with us today. And Nef, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and to humor me a little bit, because a couple of years ago, you did this presentation centered around the eclipse that has stayed with me. And as we've been preparing, not just for the reset that we're sharing with the public, but what we're doing even privately, I really wanted to give you an opportunity to share because that it gave so much insight. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking, give you the ability to just tell the folks a little bit about Nefertari Strickland, and then I'm also going to give you the ability to share your screen.
So I tell you what, one of the least favorite things of mine is to like read my resume or to share my background. 'Cause I feel like there's so much experience that I have that feels like I've lived many lives, careers, and I'm not the only one, right? Anyone that's a part of your ecosystem building community has different hats and different pairs of shoes that they wear. And it's not until you see their work that you see the culmination of all of their experiences. But when you look at their resume, it's like, oh, they were in this industry, and then they were in this industry, and they were in this part of the country, and now they're over here. So it doesn't always translate well. But when they tell you their story, when they tell you their why, you understand. And often we talk about strategy, but really it's about logistics. It's about on the ground, how you are ensuring you have what you need when you need it, how you are pre-positioning the resources you need, the rest, the time that you need, the nourishment that you need for your mind, body, and even spirit. And so the two slides that I've prepared, and then of course I have some slides just to help navigate or guide the conversation, starts off with really just level setting understanding. We hear the word or term empathy a lot, a word used in these ecosystem building spaces, the ability to recognize, understand, and share the feelings and perspectives of another person. Often we say putting on someone else's shoes, seeing yourself in someone else's shoes. Empathy, it bridges the gap between individuals, fostering stronger relationships, trust, and pro-social behavior. So I know we're on a platform that I don't use often, so I'm going to share a screen. I think I've got it. Give me a thumbs up, Torn, if you can see apathy. Yes? Beautiful. So unlike empathy, apathy means a lack of feeling, emotion, interest, or concern. It describes a state of indifference where someone doesn't care about what's happening around them and lacks the motivation to act or engage. There was a time before the pandemic when many of us felt like life was moving too fast. Our calendars were full, our attention divided, and the noise of everyday life, it seemed constant. Then, almost overnight, the world stopped. Full parking brake stopped. And in that pause, we reflected. And in those quiet spaces, we rediscovered the importance of family, neighbors, healthcare workers, teachers, and the simple act of looking out for one another. Slowly, we emerged from the lockdown and into recovery, and somehow, here we are again, moving too fast, staying too busy, and surrounded by too much noise. So today, Torin, thank you so much for inviting me to take a moment to ask those who are here with us and who will watch the recording of this, inviting them to stop or at least pause. It's an opportunity to listen for the voices that are sometimes overlooked, occasionally undervalued, but often the very voices we need to hear the most. We'll explore a very important question. Have we become too busy that our empathy has begun to turn into apathy? And if we judge the empathy or lack thereof, the apathy of others, what would it take for us to slow down, listen deeply, and choose community again? I say that that's perspective. So before I get to the eclipse, I wanted to show this kind of binary view of a historical rendition. These are two renditions of abolitionist John Brown, who spent several weeks in what we know now as West Virginia, jailed after his failed 1859 raid on Harper's Ferry. It was his intent to arm slaves to fight for their freedom. He was convicted of treason and murder. He left behind a note, though, that said that the nation's guilt would never be purged away without blood. On the morning of December 2nd of 1859, Brown was scheduled to be hung to death for his crimes. He famously left his cell with a calm, fearless expression accompanied by a heavy military escort. He paused to kiss a baby. The account you see here, entitled The Last Moments of John Brown, is one where there's two different perspectives. On the left, look at the wardrobe, the clothing of the African people. Look at the condition of the prisoner, Brown, his hair, facial and on his head, the condition of his clothing. Look at the guards, the soldiers, and the type of uniform that they are wearing. Now look at the picture or the rendition on the right. Look at the uniforms. Now remember, this is 1859, so this is pre-Civil War, so there was no Confederacy. This was the Virginia militia. Look at those who stand atop the stairs looking down. Look at the clothing of the African woman and her child. And this is about perspective. So apathy, empathy, this one coming out of a shaded, darkened background, love. The definition I won't give you. I mean, I have my own thoughts about what love is and what love means and how I've experienced love. But we all have our own, and often it does fall to perspective. The kissing of the child's head versus the kind of blessing of the child's head in the rendition's love. John's final note handed to a prison guard. I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away, but with blood. July 1st, 2026, semi-quincentennial is days away. We will observe, celebrate, reflect on 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, where those that represented the colonies proposed separation from the crown, from England, and the king. The Declaration was adopted July 4th, 1776. There were 27 specific calling out, if you will, grievances directed at King George III. The first 12 complaints outlined how the king obstructed colonial legislature, undermined local governance, and ignored the general welfare. They accused the king of abuse of legislative power, control of the judiciary, and harassment. The assaults on liberty included taxation and trade. The king imposed taxes without the colonists' consent and cut off American trade with the rest of the world. There was a loss of fair trials. There was military occupation. There were direct threats on life, waging war. The king declared the colonies out of his protection, plundered the coast, burned towns, and destroyed the lives of the people there. He used foreign mercenaries and incited rebellion. Merciless Indian savages is how they referred to them in the documentation. But there was something left out, and that brings us to who we propose in our ecosystem building work to support. Some position themselves to save. That takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources. But in this moment where we're asking you and we're proposing that we take a moment and reset, I'd like you to think about the deleted passage in the Declaration of Independence. And ordinarily, I'm not big on reading to everyone. You can see it on the screen.
If I can jump in, just because I know that some people may be watching this, perhaps while or listening while they're driving, or maybe doing dishes, I'll just read this deleted passage. He, King George, has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation thither. This satirical warfare, girl, the opprobrium.
This was written a long time ago.
Of infidel powers is the warfare of the Christian king of Great Britain. Determined to keep open a market where men should be bought and sold, he has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or restrain this execrable commerce, what she said, and that this assemblage of horrors might want no fact of distinguished dye. He is now exciting those very people to rise in arms among us and to purchase that liberty of which he has deprived them by murdering the people of whom he has obtruded them, thus paying off former crimes committed again the liberties of one people with crimes which he urges them to commit against the lives of another. And the author of this was Thomas Jefferson.
And he's saying, how dare the king force us to enslave these people and then attempt to turn them against us? In the Declaration of Independence, calling out the king for the transatlantic slave trade and Britain's participation, the colonies' participation. 2 colonies said that they would not sign it. This was removed. We often talk about who built this country. And it's interesting because when we think about the stress that you spoke of, Torin, it did not start with us. It did not start with our mothers. It did not start with our mothers' mothers. There is a generational stress that has been passed down by mothers who have worried, who have painstakingly toiled over how they can support their children, their families, given the conditions that they find themselves in. And these are the conditions that we have found ourselves in. And of course, the women didn't do it alone, right? Women today don't do it alone. There are men in our lives. These are the heroes of the colored race. This is a print that honors prominent individuals of their time who advocated for civil and political rights of African Americans during the Reconstruction era. It's the world famous abolitionist Frederick Douglass. He's flanked by Blanche Bruce and Hiram Revels of Mississippi. These were the first two Black senators to serve in the U.S. Senate, both representing Mississippi. Revels on the right became the first Black American in Congress when he was elected to replace Confederate President Jefferson Davis. And then Bruce was born into slavery in Virginia, relocated to Mississippi after the Civil War, and was eventually elected to the U.S. Senate in 1874. He was the only former enslaved person to be elected to Senate. There are 4 Black members of the House of Representatives that appears in the corner. There's also like vignettes highlighting the economic contributions of enslaved labor and military contributions of U.S. colored troops. Below, you have newly freed people. They respond joyously to the Emancipation Proclamation. There are children who are preparing for citizenship through public education. And so when we think about this reset, July 1st, you and I had a conversation about Juneteenth and Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa ends on January 1st, right? And the principles that you are instructed to observe and practice with your community, that's the resolution. That is the resolution. So perspective, if you look at this, notice at the bottom, John Brown is there as a hero of colored people, right? Notice Abraham Lincoln, notice Ulysses S. Grant. It's almost as though we're right back here again, thinking about how through education, through commerce, how we as women and men care for our communities. And I do think that there's something to that connection, June, January, and this reset. So here it is. This is the big culmination. The last major solar eclipse, I knew where I was, April 8th of 2024. I'm not sure where you were. I was in Erie, Pennsylvania, in the path of totality. The sky went dark. The temperature dropped almost immediately, and the birds stopped chirping. The bees, I'm sure, stopped buzzing. And so this is like the science of the eclipse. You have that grayed space where the moon is obstructing the sun. So on the earth projects the path of totality. That is in part where I was in Erie. Then you have those who are partially shadowed versus those who are fully shadowed. Scientifically, we call that the penumbra for partial shadow, and then the umbra for the full shadow. I have used this diagram to talk about social woes, to call out empathy, to speak to apathy. Because depending on where you are, when the sky goes dark, that determines your experience. Do you feel the temperature drop? Do you experience this change in the sound and the dynamics from the natural environment around you? And for some people, they don't. Some people, they kind of get it, they kind of experience it, but some people are uneclipsed by poverty. Some people are uneclipsed by hunger. Some people are uneclipsed by some type of medical illness, woe, disease. So they can only empathize with you, whereas others, they experience apathy. They can't relate to you. That doesn't mean they're not a millionaire that you're asking for a grant from. It doesn't. And so just taking a moment to make this personal, to kind of identify where you are with the social issue that you propose to address or solve in your work is what I'm asking.
Mm.
So again, strategy is really, really important. But when we come down to brass tacks, logistics, where are your resources? In this case, I'm asking you to find time. Find the resource of time to stop, to reconnect, to reset your perspective. Because much of what we are challenged with today on a semi-quincentennial, or at least as we approach it, 250 years of democracy, we're pretty much right back where we were pre-Civil War, asking the questions of what is democracy for? What is education for? What is freedom?
Mm.
Who deserves it? Who is going to be left out of the Declaration of Independence?
Mm.
Today, 21%. Roughly 43 to 45 million Americans are functionally illiterate. Imagine being a newly free slave, expected to navigate the economic system, the legal system, local, state, or I guess colony, federal. You have been ignorant, intentionally possibly, ignorant to how the systems around you work. And many people today are right back in that position. And so when we talk to our peers, when we talk to leadership, when we talk to funders, when we talk to those that we serve, not everybody has the same understanding of how these systems work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it shows.
Neff, if you could do me a favor and go back to the eclipse image, because I want to, as you're talking about,
This one or this one?
I would do this one.
Okay.
So when we're talking about the social issue, and all of us are here to do different things. So, the social issue that Ignite exists to do or to deal with is economic mobility, right? Really helping folks get their finances together. The organization that you lead, the National Consortium for Entrepreneurship Education, is focused in on education and really what does it look like to support our communities with cradle to career, right? So that education piece. You have some people that their social issue is maybe hunger, right? Some people, it may be they're doing youth programs. Some people may be supporting our pets. Some people may be supporting our veterans. What I'm trying to help you understand is that, and when she said this, it made so much sense to me. So with the social issue, whatever your social issue is, okay, got it. Now, in that darker gray, the umbra, that is a lot of us are in our local communities dealing with these various challenges. This issue is directly impacting us. I'm living in a house that is in a red line community, right? So redlining, I'm in that direct impact, right? However, a lot of people that we, look to support us, whether it's funders, from like local corporations or national corporations or philanthropy or just really ultra wealthy people. When Neff showed me this and I realized, okay, wait a minute, they're either in this penumbra, which means there is not impacting them at all, or it may be that to me, and she didn't say this, but I'm just saying this with the community, that white circle, like it's not even affecting them at all. And y'all, I don't want for you to walk away feeling like, you haven't done the absolute best you could do, right? Because what I've learned is that there is just so much that we don't know, that we're not even in position to ask the questions to get the answers because we don't even know. And so we are here and we have established July as the month of our reset. So the first thing we want to do is we want for you to be honest about what are the things that you said you were going to do in the month of January? What did you accomplish? And we want to celebrate that, right? But then also look at what are the things that are left that you haven't accomplished. Be honest about what are those areas that you really want to tackle, right? And to accomplish so that you can finish your year strong. But even if the areas that we're going to address for the reset, because I'm going to tell you, this was a blind spot for me. I personally was so busy serving community that for a long time I was not taking care of me and my family. I wasn't taking care of Torin, the human, right? And so my husband and I started making changes back in 2018 in these various areas, right? Really looking at our credit. So with the reset, it's somebody that's coming. Do you need business credit? If you don't have business credit, you need to establish business credit, because the power of using other people's money is what helps people become wealthy, right? So we have someone coming to break that down. Business credit, estate planning. Y'all, I've been in Alabama now. It'll be 31 years next month since my grandparents dropped me off, and so much has changed. Like, in the grand scheme of things, 30 years isn't a long time, but in these years, I've lost two of my uncles, my mother, both of my grandparents, two of my baby cousins, that, like, y'all, life be life. So we have to make sure that our estate planning is in order, because it's not a matter. That's the one thing that we can't say if it's when it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's a matter of when. So what are the things that we're putting in place to prepare ourselves and our family so our businesses are not disrupted when our humanity has to come forth, right? Because you lose a lot. Lost my mom, y'all. I was checked out for about 7 months, period. And even today, 2 years later, nah, it just doesn't change. Okay. The other thing we're going to talk about is insurance. One of the things that I've learned is learning how to use my insurance as a living benefit, not just personally, but professionally. Ignite now has a key man policy on me. Do you even know what that is? Guess what? Someone is coming to share that information. And then investing. There's just right now, while there are a lot of us that are working to build a system and a structure that does work for us, you have to be honest and acknowledge that the things that are in place, what's working, and really learn how to leverage your things for you. So we have investing, and then you can't leave out business growth, because small business is big business here in America. Our main street businesses that really carry our communities. So look, we are here, and Neff, I really appreciate you joining us today. But everybody listening, I want you to know that this reset is an investment in you, because we truly know and believe that when leaders grow stronger, their companies grow stronger. When the companies grow stronger, your local communities get better. And if you are ready to reset and finish this year stronger than you started it, I need you to join us at ignitecentral.org/reset. We'll drop that link in the chats as well. But I want you to join us and to invite a friend, invite a colleague, and let's make July the month we all choose to reset together. And one last thing before we go. Please don't just sit back and watch. Y'all, I'm tired of listening to people talking at us. I don't know about you, but I need for us to commit to take action. So at the end of these free master classes, there's going to be an opportunity for you to purchase a VIP action lab. Y'all take action. Take action, because information changes nothing, but applied action, it changes everything. I'm telling you what I know. So, Neff, thank you so much for being here with us today. Is there anything else that you want to share before I let the good people get back to their day?
Yeah, I could go on and on about history and how we can put the lessons learned into practice today. What I will call attention to is just the volume of what's coming out of us. It feels like we're being entertained out of our instincts, informed out of our peace, and distracted out of the one life that we actually have to live. So I encourage you to reset.
I
Thank you
love that.
for giving me
No,
that time.
thank you. And we'll have to bring you back so that you can, if you want to do a series, because our history is important. As a matter of fact, if anyone wants, when you were talking about Senator Bruce, this is one of the books I have on my bookshelf. I hope you guys can read it. It's called The Senator and the Socialite. But this is what had caught me. This is the first Black dynasty in America, right here. I have the book. So make sure that you grab it. And so we're going to be doing like book clubs and all the things. But right now, all I want you to know is that you are the amazing. You are the bomb.com. You have done the best that you could do. And it's nothing more than we can ask for than your best. But Ignite has assembled some amazing experts that are coming to help really answer questions that you didn't even know to ask. And they have put together some amazing step-by-step checklists and guides to help you if you're ready to take action and to take back your individual agency for your life. So I love y'all. I cannot wait to go on this journey with you together. And all I want to say is here's to stronger leaders, stronger companies, stronger communities, and a stronger future for us all. Y'all have an amazing day, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.